Hi all, Gavel here, and welcome to Getting Started in Star Citizen, the absolute basics. And I do mean the basics. I want to start right from the moment you get into the game. For the first time, you've never even played this, you got no idea what's going on, and I can tell you there is a mountain of things to learn. But here is the basics. I'll try to keep it brief. You're going to wake up in one of, 3 different locations. At the very start, you have the option of starting in Lorville, in New Babbage, or Orison. Look, you can start at any 3 of them. I would recommend that you start at Lorville, purely because it's kind of central. You choose one of them, load up, and then you'll be here. Where's here? Well, you're lying in a bed. To get up, you can either hold down Y to get up, which is generally the easiest way, or press W, which is kind of walk. That's the walk key. Now, the reason I say hold down Y to get up is it's just a good habit to get into, because Y is to get up from anything. Being seated, being in your ship seat, starting out in a bed. Y will get you out of all of those things. Now, we're stuck in a room. What next? Here's an open. But what do I do? Well, this is where we come to basically what is the master key, and that is F. And I hold down F, it comes up with a cursor, and I move around, that cursor moves around, and that will give me options when I come over interactables. So this one here is open, this one here doesn't actually have anything, you see it's highlighted there, that'll help you so you know that something is interactable. There we go. Anyways, so if we hold down F, alright, that's Foxtrot, click on open, whoosh, door opens. Okay, so now we find ourselves outside of the hab. We want to get out of Lorville. So follow along with me. One of the first things you might notice when you start out here is that you're walking exceptionally slowly. Now if we press F4, that will show an external view of your character. You can see that just using W for the walk key, we're going forward but quite slowly. You can fix that by scrolling your mouse wheel up, 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 up. I don't know, just keep scrolling until it starts moving like this. Pretty much running now every time you're moving forward. Now if you hold down Shift, you'll sprint. So once again, once you get to something that can be interacted with, in this case, the elevator, gonna hold down F and just click on that cool elevator. Same with the elevator panel, find the panel. It's always from memory on the right hand side. Hold down F, click on ground floor. Now I'll run relatively slowly through how you get out of Lorville. Here we are at the exit of the residences. You want to go straight ahead. Now you can see off from the distance it says Teaser Spaceport. That's where we want to get. But how do we get there from here? Head down these stairs. So off to the left, up the stairs, off to the left again. You know you're going the right way because you get these right angle stairs. Just head straight up here. A bit more left and down. Alright, see the sign. This is going to take us to the perimeter line and the spaceport line. We want to go on the spaceport line. So straight ahead. Here's where it splits. Don't go to the perimeter line. That'll take you around so you can get, I think, access to the another area, and then that'll take you to access to the industrial area. You don't want to worry about any of that right now. Just head off to the left. Lots of lefts to do this. That's what makes it quite easy to remember. Make our way through customs, and hey, we're at the trains. So step 1 complete. Now you can see Star Citizen runs on real time, so the train is actually travelling between the 2 locations. The first part of this is for this line over at the space station or spaceport, and then back to here. You can see a bit of a summary of those lines if you look over there at the Hurston Rapid Transit. I'm going to duck in here ASAP, another half a second. Okay, so we're departing. 3, 2, 1, train departing. And off we go. Now's probably a good time to talk about the chat. If you don't want that chat there at all times, and not everyone does, you can press F12 to turn it off. To chat, you just press enter, type in your message. So once we're off the train, it's a lot easier to find your way around to get to the space station. There's some big exit signs. Again, another Hurston Rapid Transit sign. Can't go wrong. So this will take us to the CBD. That's where you can go and sell. So if you happen to have cargo or minables that you've collected, you'd sell them there, but we obviously won't worry about that for now. Just want to head through customs. Simple little jog. Just follow it around. There's no trick to any of this. Okay. So in Lorville, this is where you do a couple of things. One, vehicle retrieval, or two, purchase new ships at New Deal. You don't have any money to purchase a new ship, so let's move on and we'll grab a ship. Now, I'm going to grab one of the starter ships. You can see I have a number of other ships which I purchased over time. We'll just stick with one of these starter ships for now and give you a bit of a tour. So you would have seen that said Hangar 6. So you're starting from there, you turn around, run past New Deal, down here, and through into the elevators. Once again, pressing the button to call elevator. You can see a handy little pip over there, a little indicator. That's on my ship. It tells me what it was that I asked for and where it currently is. Alright, so here we have the Consolidated Outland Nomad. Now, you can see there's a couple of little markers here. One that says ladder, one that says cargo. It's telling you that these are interactable areas of the ship. So I can use this to open the cargo bay, which I won't do right now. And this to open the ship and get in. And that's on all ships so that you are able to find your way to an entry or an exit from any ship, whether you know much about that ship or not. Hold down F over the seat. Make sure it's the one that says pilot seat. Only one seat in this one, so quite easy. There should only be one seat in all of your starter ships, unless you've splashed out and bought a really complicated ship from day one, in which case, good luck with that. Right, we're in a ship. What do we do now? Nothing happens. Nothing's working. I'm going to show you how to use this with a mouse. I'm not going to show you how to work with HOTAS. If you don't even know what a HOTAS is, it's a hands-on throttle and stick, far more complicated way of flying. I'll just do keyboard and mouse because that's how most people will jump into the game and use it for the first time. So how do we get out of here? Well, step one, we need to request takeoff clearance. So you press F11. That's how I got into here. I got into F11. Okay, now I'll go more over how this entire interface works, including what's called later, but let's just get out of here. Click on the Friends tab. Click on your current area. That will be different depending on where you are. And then click on the little arrow here. Okay, it says it's hailing them. It will automatically ask for clearance. And we're going to hear the whirring of some doors opening. Where's that happening? Well, if you hold down Z, that's free look. So Z or Z, free look, look up. Aha, hangar doors are above me and they're opening. You could be on a pad which doesn't have doors. You could be in a hangar that has doors in front of you. They're all different. How do we get started? This ship does nothing right now, right? It's not moving. You got to turn it on. There's a couple of ways to do this. You can either hold down your interaction key and look around until you see flight ready. It's got to be flight ready, not just power on, or you press R. R will just, it's a shortcut for flight ready. Wait for a moment. The ship is powering up. It does need a moment to get enough power to go, and then you should be all good to hold down spacebar, which is up, and that'll thrust you up. Now this is going to depend on your location, of course. For now, let's just go with this one. Oh, you can see it's windy out here. So I've used the mouse to point myself up, and I've held down W so I can go straight ahead. So that's thrusting me forward. All right, so we're going up. So we've probably still got our gear down. You can see that down in the bottom left-hand corner. I'm going to press N. That's N for Nelly. The N key to put the gear up. Now we're in space. Well, we're almost in space. Now, if you're using the keyboard mouse, one thing you probably want to know about is cruise mode, because you don't want to be holding down W all the time. So as soon as I let go of W, thrust off. put it back on, thrust on. So cruise mode is C. All that does is sets the throttle to maximum automatically, so I don't have to hold that down all the time. Brilliant, now I'm doing 170. 170 doesn't feel too fast. Let's have a bit of a look. F4. Now if you want to move the camera around out here, you hold down that Z or Z key again and move your mouse and it will move around. Look at that. I can see myself heading up, but I could go faster. Get back in the ship. Now, to go faster, you use a thing called the speed limiter. Look over here on the left-hand side of the HUD. This is your velocity. If I want to change this up or down, that is called the speed limiter, and that limits the top speed of the ship. So if I use my scroll wheel without holding down F, you see how it goes up in notches, and now I'm going faster. So let's put this up to max and see how fast this thing can go. You know what, I have actually no idea how fast this thing goes. Getting there, getting there. Alright, 1165. Okay, oh, back down again. One thing I'd always remember is that cruise mode key, because if you're heading into, let's say, I don't know, land on a pad, you do not want to be in cruise mode where you will go straight ahead if you forget about the throttle and crash straight into something. So cruise mode only for when you're flying around sort of out of atmosphere or going from one point to another. Always remember to turn it off otherwise. We've covered a few things: cruise mode, speed limiter, flight ready, gear. Well, now let's look at what you've actually got on your mouse. So mouse button 1, that fires your weapons. You saw over here, these are your weapons. These are energy, and as I'm shooting, the amount of power left is going down. What about right mouse button? There's nothing on this ship, but if you have more than one weapon group, mouse 1 is weapon group 1, mouse 2 is weapon group 2. Alright, cool. So we've learned about the scroll wheel, that makes our speed limiter over here go up and down. What about the middle button? Click. Well, that takes us into missile mode. Hooray! See, one of my missiles, a Strike Force 2, has just basically readied itself, and we're in missile mode. Now all I can do is launch missiles. I can dumbfire one, off it goes, or if you've got a target, it will lock on. Fantastic. You can fire more than one missile too. See, I'm powering up multiples now. This will fire 4 at once. Okay. Space, as we saw before, was up. Control is down. W forward. S is backwards if you're on the keyboard. So you can go forward and backwards. Lovely. D, strafes. So a flat movement to the right. A, strafes to the left. Flat movement to the left. And that pretty much covers all the things you need to know about the keys to get started. Down here you have how much hydrogen fuel you have left. That's for general flight. So hydrogen is used up when you're just flying around. Next to it is another one that says QUA, that's quantum. That's quantum fuel for doing basically hyperspace jumps. Over here is lock, you don't need to worry about that at all for now. That's one of the combat systems. Next to that is decoys and noise, 2 different types of countermeasures. Again, you don't need to worry about that. G-safe, don't need to worry about that. So many G's you're pulling in various circumstances, and in general, you don't need to worry about that. Indicators over here for VTOL. This ship doesn't have VTOL. Coupled mode. So coupled mode tries to keep you moving in the direction, the direction that you're currently pointing. If you turn that off, then you will be drifting. You're like free on all of your axes, so you can thrust in one direction, but then turn in another direction, point in that direction, but still be moving in your original direction, so your velocity will be different to your heading. ESP I really wouldn't worry about at all. Now all of the ships are different. Some of these buttons sort of have these blue overlay over the top of them. See, open exterior. This is a lock or unlock exterior. But only these sort of panels here are actually fully interactable, so you can see I can actually go over them and do things. I can press this menu and change what the display here is. So yeah, all the MFDs to be set up, all the MFDs and all of the ships are in different positions, so let's not waste too much time going over them. Earlier I said I would tell you more about the interface in the game. Let's talk about that. It's called Mobi Glass. to access Mobi Glass at its most basic is F1. Press the F1 key. Here you go, you can see some very basic information. I'll do another video in the future about how you can start out making a little bit of money, best way to do it. So down the bottom here, going from left to right, we've got this comlink. Now comlink was F11, remember F11? We clicked on friends and then we clicked on an arrow. That was so we could get clearance to take off. In the middle here, people talking. And over here, a list of everyone that's currently in the game. Now you can right click on them and invite to party, invite to chat. I wouldn't do any of that if I was you unless you know them. Next up is the vehicle loadout manager. You don't need to worry about that for now, but it's a way of putting new components on your ship. Engines and power plants and when I say engines I mean QT drives and power plants and coolers and all that sort of thing. Knickknacks I won't cover just yet. It's to do with the inventory system. I guess in a real nutshell it's basically just telling you where you have got stuff stored around the verse, so it's easy to go and find things again. Skyline is the map, come back to that in a moment. Ammo trader, don't need to worry about that too much, it's for giving money to other players. Contracts, this is a really important button. You want to know all about the contracts manager. This is where you can choose missions to go on to make a little bit of money. Vehicle maintenance services, when you land, these will give you, and when I say when you land at an appropriate pad or hangar, as it says here, this will give you the option to repair your ship, restock it with ammo or missiles or whatever you may have used up, and refuel your hydrogen and your quantum. Journal, I wouldn't worry about the journal too much at the moment. And Delphi, I wouldn't worry about Delphi too much either because it's to do with the reputation system. So if you press F1 again, that will turn off your Mobi Glass. Let's talk about this map. Now if you want to move around on this map, hold down the right mouse button and that will move the map around. If you hold down the left mouse button, that will tilt and rotate the map. So mouse 1 to tilt and rotate, mouse 2 to pan around. Middle mouse scrolls in and out. And it scrolls in and out, a bit like a Google Maps. It scrolls in and out to where your arrow is, where your cursor is. Alright, so we're here. Here's a little indicator, this triangle, that shows where you are now. Look at us, we're at Hurston. Keep scrolling in, out come the moons, keep scrolling in. Show you what's in the local area. Now, there's quicker ways of doing this. If you double click on a location on the map, scroll straight in. Ugh, what a hassle, now I have to scroll all the way out. Well, not really. When I said double click, I meant double left click. You can use double right click to scroll all the way back out again. Alright, so I want to scroll into Hurston a bit. See how it's got everything selected? That's awesome. Sometimes it does not. When I say selected, sorry, when it's everything is shown, that's awesome. Sometimes it is not, and if that happens, you click on it. So I want to scroll into Aberdeen. It doesn't have anything on there. If I keep scrolling, it disappears. That's because you basically haven't clicked on it. Clicking on it kind of says, this is the object or asset of interest. So I'm saying Aberdeen is the asset of interest. So I click on it and see now I can scroll in a bit further before it disappears. I can pan across and I can click on things. Got a route at the top here, right? See this? Let's go over this for a second. This is primarily what you'll be using the map for. Finding planets, moons, stations, and locations on planets to jump to or QT to. So the way that you QT to something, and that's just quantum travel, is you find your location you want to go to. I'm just going to go to Aberdeen and you click set route. You have to be in your ship pilot seat for this to work, and it doesn't always work. Now if you're having trouble, I would suggest zooming in or zooming out, or clicking on the asset, or clicking on something else, like ITA, and clicking on it again. Generally, if you get this dotted green line, you're in a good place, and it's going to try to create a navigation point to it. So now we're having trouble selecting these other ones. That can also be because they're obstructed, which Yeah, it does happen quite often. Again, a good trick is to see how it now works. I didn't just click on the asset that I was interested in, I double clicked and zoomed into it, and it made all of these things selectable again. Right, so we just want to go to Aberdeen. Click on Set Route, press F2 again, and we are looking for this. See this? Looking for this indicator pip. That's pointing us to where the waypoint is. Some of them have 3D radars, and another 3D radar will be like a line pointing to the waypoint, but let's move over here. Alright, hey look, it's highlighted. It's got a little icon on it, but other things don't have icons like that station over there. So why is that? Well, that's simple. It's just because we've chosen it as our target. If we were to clear the route, it's gone. All we can see now is the moon itself off in the distance. So let me tell you about the QT drive. To enable it, you press B. B for Bravo. Up it comes. It has two functions. One, spool. Two, calibrate. So if you're pointing at something, it'll do both. It'll spool up the drive, and it will calibrate a jump. Now if I move away, it's going to get upset at me for a second, and then the calibration goes back to 0%, but it still remains spooled, so it's spooling up, powering up. Alright, now you can see lots and lots and lots and lots of pips and indicators around the edge. This is because just turning it on with no route chosen will highlight everything that you can jump to. Handy, right? Well, kind of. There's lots and lots of things, so going through them all can be quite tedious. It is easier to just set it up in the map. Also, let's say I wanted to go to Aberdeen, but I wanted to go to Anderson on Aberdeen, and I click Set Route. See how it's created a chain? So first of all Aberdeen, and then down to Anderson. Now the reason you might do this is because you'll be on the other side of a planet, and you don't want to fly through the planet. So you choose something in this way, and it'll plot your route, which goes, say, to an orbital marker, then to, back to a planet, and then around to another orbital marker, and then ultimately to the location you want to get to. So it'll plot that course out for you, and you'll just go through it step by step. Okay, so you can see now I'm pointing at Aberdeen, it's spooled, and it's calibrated. What do I do now? Do I press B? No. That turns the QT drive off. Let's turn it back on again. It spools up, it calibrates, and once we're ready to go, I hold down B. So hold down B for Bravo. What do you know? I'm making a QT jump. That was quick, yeah? Depending on what drive you've got, what QT drive you've got, how big your ship is, and all sorts of things, that can take several minutes, especially if you're going to the other side of the system, like one side of the system to the other. You can't really see it, but we're upside down. So to rotate, you hold down E or you hold down Q. That's rotate. Alright, that's pitch black. This is a great demonstration. Let's see, how do I get down there when I can't really see anything? Well, a good little trick is to press B, and that will show you what's around you. And so closest to me is Anderson. As you can see, another trick is that you can just go and reselect your target. So I've gone and reselected it and chosen Set Route again. Now I can't jump to it because I'm too close, but it is coming up as a marker, which means that in the dark, or when you're traveling a slightly longer distance, that it's a bit easier to track. Over here, very importantly, this is your altitude. Now this altitude is not precise. I'm pretty sure it's down to sea level. So, alright, another important one is the pitch ladder. Now the pitch ladder is this. Okay, so this is telling me two things. One, that I need to rotate to be level with the horizon. So when it's horizontal, alright, like this, it means we're level with the horizon. See how it says -10? Well, I've got a -15, -10, -5 degree inclination below the horizon. So we want to be pointing above the horizon if we don't want to crash into the ground. Now the lower you go, in general, depends on the atmosphere of the planet, the slower you will go. So you'll see that my max speed will actually top out. It will get nowhere near the 1160 that it was flying in space. And if I go higher, I will actually be able to go faster. So if you're sort of flying from one point to another, I would fly a little bit higher to have a bit more speed, fly or sort of skim the top of the atmosphere, and then head down like I am now. Just be wary of your speed limiter. Make sure it is not too high because it will also affect how quickly it accelerates and decelerates. Press N to put the gear down. See the gear indicator is flashing over there. See Q and E for a little bit of rotation to keep myself straight. W to go forward, Control to go down, space to go up if need be, A and D to go side to side, that's the strafing from before. And if I wanted to sort of light the area up, it's actually L. L for lights. It's actually different when you're in FPS, which I'll show you in a moment. And we come to a sort of competent stop. Now to get out of the seat, it's the same as getting out of the bed that we did previously, and that's to hold down the Y key. And now we're out. If you want to use a light for your FPS character, it's T. T for torch, I think of it. You know, T for torch, but for the ships it's L for lights. Pretty good time as any to go over the inventory. So the inventory comes in 3 parts. There is I, that will bring up the inventory, and right at the moment it'll be broken into vehicle and local area. Now if I were wearing armor, there would be that third section I was talking about, that would be personal. Now because I'm not wearing armor or anywhere to store anything at all, I can't carry anything, so it's not available. But I can put things into my ship inventory. So look, now I've just put my flight suit or my undersuit and my helmet in there, and I'm wearing nothing at all. Or I can put it into the locations inventory and have it available there. So what's the difference? Alright, now stuff you put into the location inventories, and ordinarily you would bring things down to a minor ground location like this and put them in there, but you could, and they'll persist. They'll stay here. You can't lose them when they're in here. I would recommend putting them into the major stations like Everest and Virginia and that sort of thing. That's going to be safer, easier to access. If you put them in your ship, that's great. You can carry all this stuff around your ship. They have a maximum load, as does everything. SCU is how much load they can have, how much they can hold, so it's like the inventory size. If you lose this ship, you will lose everything that is currently on it. Same as if you die, you will lose everything that you were wearing or carrying. So if you want to gear up, you can either drag things on like I just did there, or you can double click. Double click will just equip. So there's filters that you can play around with, which lets you just filter down to various items, and there's different ways of sorting, but that's the inventory in a nutshell. So let's talk. What do you do next? How are you going to make money? And what's the best way to do it? Now I think when you're starting out, there's 2 different paths you can go down. Now, if you've chosen one of the starter ships, you'll have something like a Mustang Alpha, like one of these Nomads, or you'll have one of the Aurora series. I'll make a recommendation to you, and that is that you either start off with, if you haven't actually started the game yet, you start off with a ship called the Avenger Titan, pay a little bit of extra. It's not that expensive and it's 100% worth it for the following reasons. That is, it is well armed, it is maneuverable, it has a bed in it, so beds allow you to log out in the game, and then when you log back in, you're back in the bed of your ship, as long as it works properly, and it doesn't always. It can carry a little bit of cargo, not really worth doing cargo runs in though, but it's got enough space in it to also carry boxes easily, and it's got a ramp that's easy to go up and down. What's the ways you can use that ship to accomplish things? There's 2 different streams you can go down, combat or non-combat. So if you're going to do combat, you've got 2 things you can do. You can either go into the contracts manager, everything here I'm going to talk about is in the contracts manager, and choose bounty hunter, and hunt down targets either on the ground or in the air. I would recommend you start out in space because it's a little bit easier. So very low risk targets, you can take them out relatively easy if you're smart and you go out with no other gear that you lose, and just take them on and see how you go. The other ones you can do are the ground missions, and these sometimes get in bounty hunter, but also under mercenary here, and these are things like assist in defending the site, security, contract to evaluation. Whichever ones you're going to do, if you're going to go out and do bounties, always choose call to arms and accept that first. That's just a general job. It just sits there in the background, and every time you kill a bad guy, whether they're on the ground or in space, you'll get a little bonus. So you'll get a little bit of money depending on what their crim stat might have been. So other missions, other non-combat, let's look at non-combat missions. Like another way to make money is to do deliveries. Moderately risk-free because you're not outlaying money, so it's a little bit easier than cargo runs. You're not going to have enough ship to make any money out of cargo runs anyway, especially given the amount of time it takes. And since you're outlaying your own money on cargo runs, if you die, you lose the cargo, you lose the ship, you lose your money. Box runs, no problem. You go somewhere, wherever it tells you, you pick up the box, you put it in your ship, and you fly it to the end route. Now they're good because all you're doing is picking things up, moving them around, and getting to know the Stanton area. So flying around to different areas, getting to know the moons and the planets and the routes, and getting to grips with the map because you'll be using it a lot to navigate around. This ties in with the Avenger Titan because the Avenger Titan's got a ramp, really easy to run your box up the ramp, put it on the floor, and fly off and stack a few boxes up. Investigations are good, but I would recommend not. See where it says in a cave, don't do them. Really difficult, take forever, you can get lost and die in there quite easily. Cave, don't worry about it. So you might see other investigations come up, and those investigations might be things like find a ship and find the black box in it, find the ship and find a particular person, find the ship and find the whole crew. So you've got to go and find each individual person. And these are good because, again, no outlay, there's minimal risk, and you're just going to a derelict ship and spending your time searching. The other bonus to this is while you're searching, you can take their armor, and you can take any other boxes that are lying around. So there might be boxes of cargo. They're not going to be worth a lot of money, but you put them all into your ship, and then you can try to sell them. And you can take their armors and put them into your ship, and then store them back at a station, and you've got yourself some free bits and pieces. You can build up quite a store to get started for doing things like the grounded base combat missions. Quite often those investigations will give you a good payout. You might be talking 10 grand, 12 grand, 15 grand. That probably covers all of the basics. I sincerely hope that this has helped you on day one of your journey in Star Citizen. And if not, maybe you could let me know below why it didn't help you out. Or if it helped you out and you're playing on like day 1000. Let me know about that too, if you've got some suggestions, if you've got some things to add. Let me know. Just put it all into the comments. The more the better. If you're enjoying my videos, of course, all I ask is that you subscribe so you don't miss anything. I'm always putting out new stuff. It's of all different types. And, subscribing makes me feel good about myself. It's just that little step up from a like. But hey, please throw me a like as well. They look good. And from day to day, they make me feel good. They make me feel better about what I'm doing. It'd be really greatly appreciated. I've also just signed up for a Patreon account. So if you'd like to become a patron, check it out. It's in the description below. I've never done this before, so if you also have some suggestions about that, go right ahead and make them. I'm always happy with all feedback, positive or negative, and I try to action it and take it on board and actually make everything better. So thanks. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Again, I hope you got something out of this. I hope you learned something, and now that we're at the very end, hey, off you go and do something else and have a great day, and I'll be back with something new soon. See ya.